Thank you, studio audience, fake studio audience. Really appreciate that. Hey, guys, welcome to another edition, an episode of Cory Means Business podcast and YouTube show. We got a good one for you today. At least I'm going to try to make it really good for you. This is going to be our New Year's proclamation show. And we didn't get a chance to get a guest today, so it is me, Mucho, my trusted side companion.
How you doing?
And, of course, we've got Emilio behind the other side of the lens, which I often talk to him, even though he's on the other side of the camera. One of these days, we're going to get him on this side of the camera so you guys can actually see him. Maybe we'll just post his picture along, with the show. Put it
we can just superimpose it on the bottom.
Yeah, we got to get him. Like we got to get you in the intro. So when the show's, the introduction's playing in the show, like, and Emilio. Anyway, so it's the three of us today, and we had an idea, and the idea was to flip the thing around, and instead of me asking the questions, I'm going to actually get asked the questions, and maybe you guys can get to know me a little bit better. I kind of a private person when it comes to my past and some of the things I've done in my life, and unfortunately, I want to try to get past that and try to, get to know you guys a little bit better and have you guys get to know me a little bit better. And I think by, getting some questions, and I've gave Mucho some questions to ask that I normally, again, don't like to really answer. But I feel like, one of the commitments I want to make in 2022. Yeah. We talked about in the pre-show was to be, brutally honest, be more honest. And it was funny because I was telling these guys that, of course, I'm probably like you guys. I hate watching myself. So when you film yourself, right, or record yourself, the last thing you want to do is go and listen to yourself. Just something about it. You just hate, we all hate our voice. We all hate the way we look on camera, right? I'm really not this fat in person. Right? I was telling these guys that, it just almost seems like that's not really me, that's not really who the real Cory is, that, it's almost like, and again, I wanted to use the description of fake. It's not fake, just that I'm too worried about making a great impression on you guys.
You're holding back?
And I'm holding back, and I'm not being me. And these guys are like, well, you're a different guy when the camera's not rolling. Which, to getting comfortable in front of that camera is tough. It is. It really is.
It is.
And, and I'm sure like a lot of people watching this, like you guys can imagine, staring into the black eye that you got to look at when you look into a camera, and you're like, is anybody even watching this thing? Is anybody paying attention? But we were talking about, like, we get feedback, and Mucho in the radio business too. He's gotten feedback over the years, and when you're in the radio studio and you're talking to a microphone like this, and you don't even have like the camera. Yeah, you're like starts creeping your head, like, is anyone even listening to this?
Yeah, right? you just I feel like I'm just talking to myself and getting a paycheck for it, but it does make an influence on people. Right. When I walk at a store, people stop me and say, hey, you remember when you said this? And it's like, I really don't, but thank you for reminding me.
Right, because it made an impression on them, right? We were talking before the show that even if when we do these shows or these podcasts or Mucho's on the radio, even if one person gets the message and one person is better off for it, I mean, it kind of makes it worth it to us. So I really hope that these shows and these podcasts really help to bring you guys some really quality information and some inspiration and some entertainment, of course. But at the same time, even if we just one person gets helped, it's worth doing. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you sharing and liking and subscribing and all those good things, because the more people we can get these messages to, the more people we help. So we really appreciate that. So again, for this episode, we're going to turn it around on me, and I'm going to be the one that gets to get asked the uncomfortable questions. Yep. And hopefully give you guys a little bit more authenticity. That's the word I was trying to think of earlier, was authenticity.
No holding back, man.
No holding back. More authentic, more honest, more brutally honest. And the reality of it is life is fucking hard.
It is.
And
oh boy,
business is fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And you just got to deal with that. There's only two ways you can handle it. You can either collapse and curl up in a little ball and start crying, or you can get up and get pissed off and just get moving, right? Yep. And that's only two ways to really deal with it. And you got to pick which one, which way you're going to deal with it. I choose to, just cry in private, and then, when I'm in public, I do the charge towards it.
Well, that's the first tidbit we got right there.
Hey, man, I promise.
Now you know what happens when he goes to the bathroom for like 20, 30 minutes.
You're like, too honest. Back up. No, so again, we all have our moments of weakness. We all have our moments of self-doubt. Even, if you're successful by most people's measures. And it was funny, I was talking to, before we get into my history, and this will be more relevant when you hear my past specifically, but I was talking to one of my guys the other day, and I said, most people that I meet think that I'm rich, and, I got all this and I got all that. I said, you know what? Really rich people, I would be broke as shit to really rich people. Talking hundreds of millions of dollars. They're like, that guy's broke as shit. So it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Bottom line is it's always perspective. And then again, there's all that joke, right, of Oprah's really rich, right? Oprah's like worth like $2 billion or something like that. Whatever, she's worth $2 billion, right? So you think like, shit, man, Oprah's rich as crap. But if Bill Gates woke up with Oprah's money, he'd kill himself because he couldn't handle being that broke. Right? It's all perspective. So bottom line is, $2 billion, that's rich to me, but Bill Gates, he'd cry, he would like jump out a window, So again, it's all perspective. That said, let's stop delaying the process and get into it. Hit me with the first question.
All right. Well, we all look at people and we admire them. Successful people we see, TV, media, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Oprah. But they don't just wake up, roll out of bed, and, hey, I'm living a rich lifestyle. So when you asked me to be part of this show, I did a little bit of digging into Cory. And, damn. I mean... it looked like you had your shit together, man. I mean, and even just the pictures, the media pictures, the cars, the lifestyle. I was like, this is freaking sweet. This guy knows what he's talking about. But you didn't just wake up that way.
No, unfortunately not.
So we have to go back and see, how did you get here? We know Oprah's story. We know Steve Jobs' story. It's perspective.
Right.
But what is Cory Means Business story?
All right.
Where did you start from? Where did you grow up?
Okay, that's fair. I grew up in Salt Lake City originally.
All right.
And then I moved temporarily when I was about 10 years old to Colorado. And there's a funny story there, or odd story there. And I'm going to post a picture. Maybe I'll give it to Emilio so he can put it up and kind of insert it.
Please.
Insert it in the show. There's a picture of me, and it's Christmas, and this is relevant because it was just Christmas. There's a picture of me, Christmas, when I was about 10 years old. I think I was 10 or 11. And when I was a kid, I grew up really, really poor. I mean, broke as shit. Broke as broke could get. I don't think I had a new piece of clothing of any kind until I bought my own new clothes finally when I got summertime jobs in high school. So, I grew up super poor, but my dad got this crazy idea when I was about 10 years old that he wanted to go and relive his grandfather's life. And his grandfather came from the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And they were gold miners in Colorado.
Okay.
And I guess my dad heard his whole life that there was this gold mine that, his grandfather had a claim still legally to in Colorado on the Colorado River.
Yeah.
So he packed us up, and we left, and me, my mom, and him, we moved to the desert on the Colorado River. And this picture that I'm going to give to Emilio is going to insert in this. It's a 16-foot, one of those 16-foot bumper pole camp trailers, the old style, probably 50s, 60s vintage, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are all round and stuff.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Single axle with the moon hubcap, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you the visual. And we lived in that thing for 2 years.
Gold digging.
He was going to try to get this gold that his grandfather didn't get. And,
Wow.
the reality is, the gold was there, and
Okay.
we saw it, a little bit of it, but it just never worked out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my dad had a little of a drinking problem, and so there wasn't a lot of work getting done, unfortunately. So, but, I grew up to that point to where Christmas, 10 years old, I'm on the banks of the Colorado River in the middle of the desert, no electricity, no running water besides the river. And I'm sitting there with $6 worth of Christmas toys that came from whatever dollar store there was back then or whatever, and, nickel and dime drugstore.
Yeah.
And I look back at that picture, and I look at that picture often today, and I say, okay, I look at that Christmas when I was 10,
Yeah.
And sitting there in the dirt with like a little dart. There's a dart board.
Yeah.
Those ones that had the little Velcro balls that you would throw at the
I
dartboard.
remember those.
That was the best present I got that Christmas, by the way. And, I look back and some of the Christmas I have now, and I look back to that Christmas, and I'm like, wow, I've come a hell of a long way.
Awesome, man.
But, as a kid, in being poor, and obviously this is nothing new. I don't want anybody to think that thing I'm special because I grew up poor. Certainly not. A lot of people grow up poor.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does two things to you. I found that growing up poor does one of two things to you. One, you're going to kind of be okay with it, and you're going to just say, well, that's life, and I'm going to be poor. Mm-hmm. Or you get pissed off about it, and something strikes in you that you say, like, I'm going to change this.
Yeah.
And I think just the combination of my alcoholic, abusive father, and, I didn't even go to the 4th and 5th grade because I was living in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And just those, growing up like that and the abuse from my alcoholic father and so forth, I got pissed off. I was one of those people that just got pissed off.
What was that moment, though? How old were you, that moment that you were like, no?
It was young, man. It was probably 6, 7 years old.
Wow.
I mean, I was young. And I remember at 7 years old just thinking to myself, this ain't going to be me.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be me. I'm not going to be that guy, And I had a rough relationship with my father, I didn't even see him after I was like 15. Never even saw him again. But I just knew early on I wasn't going to be this guy.
Yeah.
Always broke, always having to juggle money, and my parents would always be fighting over money, of course. And I, as a little kid, you hear it, right? You hear the fights over money, and that's what most marriages and relationships struggle over is finances.
Yeah.
And I'd hear the arguments in the middle of the night, in the kitchen. And we lived in a very, very teeny little rental house. And my bedroom was like right next to the kitchen. So there was no avoiding these arguments and these fights.
Yeah.
And I could hear the arguments over money. It just struck me. I was not going to live like this. So fast forward, I committed to, putting myself through college. Didn't even know what the hell I wanted to do. I said, I've heard that getting a college degree is the way to go because I had no mentors. I had no coaches, nothing growing up. I had a couple of people that were positive influences. My grandfather was a very positive influence on me. And he really instilled in me a work ethic because my grandfather's a really, really hard worker. Yeah. He dropped out of school in the 3rd grade and did jobs until he got drafted to World War II. And he went away for World War II and had to, fight in the Pacific, fight the Japanese.
Yeah.
And obviously when he came out of that, he was pretty thankful for the opportunities he had because he survived. A lot of people didn't survive World War II. So he felt pretty lucky that he survived. And he married my grandmother right after the war. He had learned to be an electrician in the Army. Yeah. And he got out and he decided that he was going to start, opening a little electrical contracting business. And he for looking back, I thought my grandfather was rich. Now, obviously, he just did okay. I mean, when you're really, really poor, anything looks rich.
Yeah, everything looks rich.
But he did pretty good for himself for what he had, 3rd grade education and just, electrical contracting job. But I was impressed by that to the point where it motivated me to say, look, you can be better than your father. You can be better than how you're growing up. Yeah. And so I knew, and he told me, like, go to school, get educated. And he had self-educated, man, but he understood the importance of education. Well, he didn't get an education.
That was what I was going to ask. I mean, if he didn't do it with an education, what made you say, well, I have to do the educational thing?
Because he told me that, it's not anything but what you know. And he educated himself. He read books and financial books and, just all kinds of books. I mean, he probably read a book a week his entire life. And he got just ridiculously smart and educated from just being self-taught and just reading books. And he knew that he had missed out on a formal education. And if he'd had that along with all the books he read and the real life experience and the running of a small little business, that he would have been better off. And so he kind of, mentioned that several times. And I'd always try to pick his brain, even as a young man in high school and in college, trying to just pick things off of him that he had learned and lessons that he had learned, and the way that he thought about the world and the way he thought about making money, and that really it was up to you. That generation, and even my generation, I'm a Generation Xer. Yeah. The baby boomers, man, that was one tough generation.
Yeah, it was, man.
They came through some hard times. So that grit kind of carried with me, and so that's what got me to really realize like I could do something bigger and better, and I could actually go out. And I had no idea what to do. I just knew that I was going to go out in the world and I was going to make something happen. That's just all I knew at that time.
So what school did you end up going to?
I ended up going to the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
U of A, bear down, Arizona. The football team really sucks this year, man.
Let's not get into that. But that basketball team.
But that basketball team. That basketball team. I'm sure the girls softball team is going to be good too, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the U of A and I had no idea what to even major in. I had no career aspirations at that point. I just knew that I'm going to get this damn degree and it's going to lead to something. I didn't even know what it was going to lead to.
What was the degree? I
ended up 2 degrees. It was accidental. I got 2 degrees because I waited so long to choose my major that I just kept racking up all these prerequisites.
And it happens.
Yeah, it happens. And I'm like, shit, and it's like going into my senior year and I don't have a declared major. And I'm like, I'll do this major, which was planning and development.
Okay.
And the only reason I did is because a buddy of mine, Paul, if you ever see this, went into it. So I was like, well, what are my friends doing? He's like, I'm going to planning and development. I'm going to real estate. I'm like, okay, me too. That's it. I'll do that. And so I did that. But then I had so many credits and I couldn't graduate anyway without taking another semester. So I was like, well, shit, what can I do to make use of this semester since I got to go to school? And I was just a few credits away from actually getting a degree in finance. So I got the degree in finance too. So I ended up being
that was an accident.
It was a forced accident. It was like, well, shit, you're here. You got to pay for the semester anyway. You might as well freaking make it count. And so I said, and at that point, I had no idea where this was going. I had no idea what I was going to do in the world. No idea how I was going to make money. I just knew that if I got to get these 2 degrees, it's going to mean something somewhere, somehow, some way, and I'll make something of it. And long story short, not really.
So what'd you do after college? You were just floating around?
So I get out of college and I'm like, I had no idea what to do. The first job I got out of college was a sales job at this place called Beaudry RV, which was an RV sales.
Beaudry RV, yes. Very well known in Arizona.
Yeah. They were around, but a bunch of crazy cowboys down there, crazy guys. Yeah. But, they're really, really good at sales. And I went through their sales training program and I had done sales off and on, as a kid and just, I always had a hustler's mentality. I was always out there to like, I can figure out some way to make money. I was always that kid that was like pulling weeds or, going to like some like mobile home park by where you live and like, hey, can I get $10 a week to pick up the trash? Candy money, arcade money, just whatever I could do to get some candy money and some arcade money. Right. And so I was always a little hustler. And so I said, hey man, I'll do some sales. And, so I went through their sales training program for the RVs, and I never made any money selling RVs, but I got to tell you, it was a hell of an education. These guys were like, it was like boiler room before boiler room.
Yeah, man.
It was Wolf of Wall Street before the Wolf of Wall Street. These guys were literally Wolf of Wall Street selling RVs, and it was brutal. I mean, some of the tactics I got taught, I'm a little embarrassed to even say it, but one of the tactics I got taught early on, and this will be of interest to salespeople, and to business owners, was nobody gets off the lot that will ever come back. So the strategy was, and most people that buy, RVs are older folks, right? So these older folks would come in and, Tucson, Arizona's got a lot of snowbirds that come here. Yeah. Oh. And so these old folks would come on looking at new RVs, and these guys had this strategy of, okay, get them in an RV. Yeah. Put yourself between them and the door. Mm-hmm. And then get another guy in the doorway, and then don't let them leave until they buy. I mean, you're looking back, and this is like this is the mid '90s, so this is the statute of limitations passed? I hope.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I wasn't. I was just watching and I was like observing. But these guys, I mean, little kidnapping. I think
that's
by
a little harassment.
I think by some standards that'd probably be some kidnapping tactics. But they would literally block in these RVs, and it was like, man, unless they literally like run out of there kicking and screaming and threatening that they're going to call the cops on you, like they don't get out of here until they buy. And I wasn't okay with that at the time. I was impressive because just some of these guys were making lots of money, and it wasn't always like that. I mean, those people definitely wanted some RVs, but they would go to those extremes. Yeah, that made an impression on me. I was like, holy shit, man, these guys are ruthless when it comes to closing.
But it wasn't for you, obviously.
No, and again, I wasn't prepared. I was 23 years old. I was not prepared for anything like that. I was not going to start trapping old people in RVs. Man. I was like, this is a little too heavy for me, guys. I appreciate the education, but it's a little too heavy tactics for me. Yeah. So I left there and I went and took a job working for a financial services company.
Okay. Well, put that degree to work.
Yeah. I said, well, let me go and use one of these degrees and get in some financial stuff and see where that can go. The first job I got was a bullshit job. It was just some clerical paper pushing crap. $1,500 a month. That was what I made. That was the opening salary, was $1,500 a month, and there was a couple little bonuses you could get if you did some things. And so, wanting to actually eat, keep a roof over my head, I actually learned the process, and I got pretty good at it, and I started picking up these two bonuses, and the bonuses were like $500. Right. So if you made your $1,500 salary plus the two bonuses, you made $2,000.
This was 1990.
This is 1995.
Decent.
1995.
That was decent money for 95.
You could survive on that. You could survive. I mean, you could have a little apartment, little car.
Back then, you could buy groceries with $20. I remember.
Yeah, still some. You'd have to work some top ramen and some mac and cheese in there. Couldn't buy the actual box cereal. Still had to get the bag cereal. So you had to be thrifty when you went shopping. You couldn't just there was no T-bones or nothing like that.
But then again, you grew up a lot poorer than that.
Yeah, correct. I mean, right. For how poor I actually grew up, I actually thought I was rich as shit. Right? That perspective, right? I mean, I actually had
the perspective of the phases of your life.
Compared to how I grew up, I was like, shit, I already made it, man. I'm like,
I'm good.
I'm good. I made it, right? And it was good for a while, of course, but then I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. I want to do something bigger. So I just started, asking a lot of questions where I worked, and I just, how can I make more money? What other positions are open? What do I have to do? What do I have to bring? And for those of you who have not read my book, Maximize Your Now, I really recommend that you do. It's on Amazon, or we have some links where on my website. You can go to my website and you can still get the book there as well. And we're going to be putting out the free audio version as well.
Sweet.
So look for that. We're going to launch that here for the new year also. So I want to get my book into everybody's hands. Especially the audio one, because it's so easy. I mean, you could be at the gym, you could be driving your car, listening to the audio book. In that book, I talk about how I went from that $2,000 a month to how I got 3 years later, and we'll skip ahead because I know it's getting a little boring. 3 years later, I made six figures for the first time at 26 years old. And so I went from $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month. And in that book, I tell you exactly how I did it. And I did it by simply going to the people I worked for and saying, what else can I do for you? What else can I do for you that I can make more money? And you'll be surprised where that question can lead.
Well, I'm going to put this in perspective. I'm 40 years old, and I still haven't seen six figures.
Well, we got to fix that.
So for you to do that at 26, 3 years prior.
3 years. It took me 3 years to go from $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month and more. And it was just because I asked the people that I worked for.
Well, there's got to be more to that.
Well, because then you get the answer, right? And that's what people are afraid of, right? People are afraid of the answer. So when you ask your bosses, hey, what can I do to make more money? They give you a list, and then most people just tap out, right? So there's two things that happen. One, they never ask the question. Two, they ask the question and they get the answer. They don't like the answer. So then they say, yeah, no thanks, right? It sounds too much like work. I was prepared for whatever, again, especially after being trained to trap old people in RVs. I'm like,
right.
shit, I've kind of been prepared for whatever.
It's got to be better. So.
Yeah, between living in the desert, in a camp trailer, 60-foot camp trailer with no electricity or running water.
There's got to be a happy
years.
middle somewhere.
and I often think back about that time I was in the desert too, and I'm like, when in the holy shit did I take a shower? Like,
you were a kid.
I don't remember a lot of showers, man. I got to tell you, I hate to admit it, but I don't remember
back
a lot
in the day
of showers.
Before you can go like months before you started to smell a little bit.
I was like, did I take a shower during that time? I think I just swam in the river, actually.
Probably.
But bottom line is that between those life experiences, I was ready. I mean, I was battle tested. I was ready for whatever. There's nothing going to scare me. As far as work goes, if it was going to lead somewhere.
So is that why you got into business now?
Yeah. So fast forwarding past that. So 3 years later, I'm making six figures, and then I became like a kind of like a hired gun.
Yeah.
And I went to work for 3 or 4 more companies doing the financial services, and it was managing distressed portfolios for banks and finance companies and lenders and some big hospitals. Some big medical providers were in there. Mm-hmm. It was helping them manage their distressed portfolios. And I became really, really good at it because I just decided I'm going to, if this is what I'm going to do to make money, I'm going to be really good at it because they gave me the list of what needed to happen to make big money at it. So I checked all the boxes on the list they gave me and got those skills. And then I deployed those skills and I worked my ass off, and it led to really good things. And 6 years into that career, I'm 30 years old by this point, and I'm making good money. Yeah. I'm making strong 6 figures, okay. $150,000 a year. I got a new Lexus. Yeah, I got a badass. Late night. This is the year 2000. Bang. This is year 2000. Bang. I got a badass Lexus SC400.
The Lexus
I got a lifted
LS
truck.
4.5.
Oh baby, it was the V8.
All them Gen X's know
V6,
about
not
that.
The 300, the 400. Anybody that's anywhere near my age knows the difference between the 300 and the 400. They look the same on the outside, but they're completely different on the inside. So I had the SC400 and a lifted truck, and I had a really nice track house. Yeah. And it was like, I had some really badass furniture. The chicks were super impressed. Nice. No ifs or buts about it. The chicks were impressed, and that's what I was all about at that time. I was 29, 30 years old. I was in really good shape, and hey, I had to explore soiling my oats. So it really impressed the chicks, but that got kind of boring after a while. And I said to myself, I said, self, is this what you really want? Right. And I had reached the top. I reached the pinnacle of working for others in my field and what I was doing. Yeah. And I went to the owners of the businesses I was working for at that time. And I said, hey, I want to make more money. Is there anything else I can do? And they looked me dead in the eye and they said, nope, there's nothing else you can do. That's it. You're at the top. And I said, okay.
It's not an answer.
No, that's the wrong answer. And employers, let me tell you, you ever get somebody that comes to you and asks you that question, don't you ever have the answer, nope, that's it. You're making all you can make.
Be content.
No. If one of your people ever come to you and ask you how they can make more money, you better have some good answers. And it better never be, there's no other way. And again, whatever you tell them, like, hey, you got to bring me 10 more new clients this month and, for $10 million, hey, have an answer. No matter how big the answer is, have an answer, because you'd be surprised. I was ready for whatever. Again, I was ready to go to the next level. Yeah. So I would have done whatever they told me, just like I did the first time. That took me to 6 figures. I wanted to make, I think at that time, 250. I calculated the math, and I was like, if I can make 250, I'll live off of 150, which I've been living off of. That's my lifestyle. After taxes, of course. And then if I get another 100, that'll be my investment money and my savings, and I'll grow wealth that way. Yeah. So I'll live the lifestyle I want, plus I'll grow wealth. And that number was 250. And I went to them for how could I make 250? And they said, there's no way, can't happen. And so I said, well, shit, I guess I got to get out of here then. Yeah. And I looked around, no one was going to pay me that kind of money for what I was doing, and I didn't want to start again and get a new skill set. Yeah. I said, all right. I'm smart enough. I'm good enough. I got a little bit of money saved up. I started my own business in 2001.
Was it scary?
It was. It was scary. It was scary. I had set, here's how I did it.
I think that's what turns off more people. That's why.
It is. And really, when you first make that leap, and obviously if you guys have seen the show, You've seen people sit here, we've had all kinds of startups here. We've had people that do it as a hobby, side hustle, don't make any money, have no chance making any money at it. And some serious business people who are here that have sat in that chair that make really good money and move, weight and run big companies and employees and everything else, right? And you guys have seen some creative people that come in and just themselves in a small little business, they crank out some good money. But when you first go to make that leap between having that guarantee, what you think, and it's all bullshit. It's all in your mind, this guaranteed paycheck bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not guaranteed. They could fire you anytime.
Yeah.
You walk in that morning and fire your ass.
Absolutely.
Right. And you've been down that road, right? So
Oh, yes.
They ain't shit guaranteed, right?
Nothing.
So that whole idea of you're guaranteed this paycheck. No, you're not. Nope. So get rid of that mentality right away, that you're not guaranteed shit. That company could close down tomorrow, not even of their own choice, right? You could say like, my boss are tight like this. He'll never fire me. Maybe, but he's going to get fired. Yeah. And if he owns the company, he can still get fired by his customers, right? Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of things that could occur. We all know that after the last couple of years, what we've been through.
Absolutely.
So there is no safety net. So get over that understanding. If you've got a skill that you can put in the marketplace and you're already putting that skill in the marketplace for your employer and your employer's making money off of it, clearly, because that's why they can pay you money, then you can put that same skill set into the open market and do it direct with whoever your boss was doing it direct with. Okay? Skip the middleman, right? Don't get any ideas, Emilio. Any ideas. But you skip the middleman. That's all you're doing. So if you have a skill set that you've developed by working for others that has value and that your employer is making money off of it, well, then that should give you all the confidence in the world that you can make money off of it. Yeah. You just got to not be afraid. And so I was nervous. I was scared. But if it makes any kind of sense, I wasn't afraid. Meaning,
I get it.
I had no self-doubt. I knew what I could do. Yeah. And then the big part of it, I committed to myself. Yeah. Right. And this is what, again, hopefully you guys really listen to this. This is like probably the biggest thing that I ever teach anybody. And this is the biggest thing that I had to learn in order to make that jump was you have got to commit to yourself. First and foremost, you've got to make 100% commitment to yourself. No bullshit. When I say no doubts, I mean no doubts in yourself. And I mean no doubts in the fact that you're going to quit. Yeah. Now, are you going to have doubts that that you're going to fuck up and you're going to do some shit wrong and you're going to make some mistakes? Hell yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And hell yeah, you're going to fuck up. But here's the commitment, okay? That's not the commitment. Yeah. Commitment's not that you're going to be mistake-free. The commitment is that you're not going to quit. That's the commitment.
That's the ultimate failure.
And that's it. Yeah. And the only way you can ever fail, and here's what I found, because I've made a lot of mistakes in business. I made a lot of mistakes. The only way you can fail, and I tell people, like, I made a lot of mistakes in business, but I've never failed. I have never failed. And I don't want to get sidetracked here, but I get kind of pissed off at some of these coaches and some of these influencers that are like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Fuck that. Yeah, you better be afraid to fail. Okay, you better be afraid to fail. Yeah. And you better be so afraid to fail that you don't allow yourself to fail. Yeah. But understand what failure is. Yeah. Failure isn't making a mistake. No. Okay. Failure isn't setting down, right, and making something, right? Let's just say I had a company. I was going to start a company, and I was going to make this flask. Failure wouldn't be setting down and making a flask, and it sucks, and nobody wants it. Yeah. That's not failure. No. You made it. Yeah. You did it. Now, nobody wants it. It sucks, but that's not failure. You know what failure is? Failure is that you didn't make it. Yeah. That's failure.
You didn't attempt it. You didn't go for it.
Exactly. You didn't attempt it. That's real failure. So the reason why I say don't fail, right, and I say make a commitment to yourself not to fail, is because understand what failure really is. Mm-hmm. Failure is either quitting or never trying. That's the only failure. Trying it and doing it and sucking at it still isn't failure. No. And if you just simply commit to yourself that even though you may suck at it the first few times, or the first 10 times, or 100 times, or 1,000 times, don't quit. Don't quit. Keep coming back the next day a little better than the day you were before. Yeah. So that maybe the first time I make this, it sucks. Yeah. The second time, it's a little less sucky. The third time, it sucks a little less. The fourth time, it sucks. Hey, shit, by the 10th time, somebody's like, yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest, but shit, I'll give you $1 for it. Oh shit, they'll give me $1 for it.
Yeah.
Now I want 30 ultimately, but it ain't worth 30 because it still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Then the next day I'm going to make one better. And the next day I'm going to make one better than that. And the next one better. As long as I'm committing to making it better every day, it's not going to take long before I perfect it or before I make it really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And it is worth that $30.
You think your why is still rooted on the fact that you came from very poor background? You just didn't want to be there again? Was that your why personally?
No, my why.
Or was it you were just like, I just want to keep leveling up. This I can't be complacent.
My original why that got me out of poverty and got me to those early years of being, pretty successful, 6 figures, was just the anger that I had as a kid over what my dad put me through and what I had to go without. And the kids making fun of me at school for my clothes.
Yeah. But if you have...
That's what got me to that.
If you have
point,
an average,
just the anger.
the average American who was not rich, middle class parents, they taught you paycheck, retire.
Right.
They're the ones that are scared the most to take that leap.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Well, so for me, and again, I don't speak for anybody else but myself, but here's my take on that, right? Mm-hmm. I've been poor. I've been poor as shit. Matter of fact, I was poor as you could possibly be up until all the way I got that first $2,000 job when I was freaking, 23 and a half. Yeah. Okay. Up to that point, I had been as poor as you could possibly be. Where I had $20 to last a week, and I had to go to Safeway and, hey, how the hell do you make 20? How do you eat off of $20 for a week? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I got creative. So I've been that poor, and I was that poor for the first half of my life. Yeah. And did I hate it? Yes, I hated it. But at the same time, like there was a part of it that was like, I'm okay with this. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And because I grew up most of my life being poor, like I've never really had a fear of losing everything, right? Yeah. I think people get this fear of like losing what they got. Yeah. And I've never feared to lose what I had, right? Because I always knew that whatever I did to get it, I could do again. Yeah. As a matter of fact, not only could I do it again, I could do it faster and better because I don't have to go all the way back to when I started to get it. Yeah. You see, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
And so I've just never had a fear of losing it, and that fear of not, of not losing it actually led me to losing it. And again, being brutally honest, I lost it, man. Being brutally honest, and I don't tell many people this story at all.
But we need to hear it because people are scared, man.
I know, and so let me just keep going with the story. Yeah. And we're going to lead to where I lost it all. Okay. Hopefully you guys aren't getting too bored here, but here's where I lost it all. So 30 years old, I want that $250 a year. That's the money, the new money in my head that I got to make. Yeah. So I said, fuck it. I had 30 grand cash in the bank because I was just spending all my money. Yeah. 30 years old, trying to save for retirement. So I'm running through my money. So I had like 30 grand that I could get together. Cashed out my 401k, little 401k that I had through the company, like 6 grand. It wasn't much. Then I sold this boat that I had for $10,000. Then I took out a second mortgage on my house, and I got $20,000 out of the second mortgage. Yeah. All told, from the little cash I had on hand, the 401k, the selling of the boat, and my second mortgage, I got together $70,000. This is all I had because when I took out the second mortgage, I think went all the way to the full value of my house, maybe a little beyond. Oh, wow. So this was cashing out. Yeah. Right, 30 years old, I'm cashing everything I got out. And it was 70 grand. That's what it was. Yeah. After 5 years of making 6 figures. Yeah. It was like 70 grand, which is pathetic, right? Don't make 6 figures for 5 years and only have 70 grand to show for it. Yeah. So I got that 70 grand. I said, okay, I'm gonna start with this business with this 70 grand. And so I freaking hire 3 people, get a little office, get some equipment, get computers, get phones. And it was funny or ironic, not funny at all. I started this business September 4th, 2001. Oof. Now, I think, with that date, you guys probably all know what happened about a week later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
September 11th happened a week later. And we were actually calling, my staff and me, we were actually calling New York at the time. And we're calling New York, we're on the phone, and about that same time in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 in the morning, and people we were calling, they're answering the phone. They're like, don't you understand what's going on? Planes are crashing into buildings here. New York's under attack. And I was like, holy shit. Man. So I told my 3 people who were working for me at the time, everybody stopped calling New York. Something's going on, you know? So was my start in business, right? And we were like, holy shit. And for a few days after that, we all thought it was, what's going on. It was just, we're going to keep getting these attacks.
Yeah, it was very uncertain
So
times.
it was very uncertain times. And to try to do business during those times, very, very uncertain. Yeah. So to throw a little wrinkle in my little startup, I was like, oh shit, what now? And I'd already spent like half the money just getting shit started up. And so I was already down to like 30 grand and I had to keep paying bills and my mortgage payment, my car payments and eating and then paying the staff and paying the rent. So I was like, shit, man, that's 30 grand's gonna be gone in like another month and a half. Yeah. So I didn't have like this big bankroll that I was going to bankroll this business with. I had like maybe a month and a half's worth. Yeah. And September 11th happens right during my startup. But I had made a commitment, getting back to the commitment, I had made a commitment that I said, I'm not going to fail. Meaning, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not going to make a mistake, not that I'm not going to have, ups and downs, not that I'm not going to have to go back to eating top ramen and mac and cheese and bags of cereal.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
I can't fail if I don't quit. That's what I knew. So, and the other commitment I made to myself before I started this business too, and this is what I recommend to every business, everybody that, again, and getting in business for everybody, because this is what the commitment you got to make to yourself. Whatever it takes, right? And of course, you guys have heard that saying, it's a bullshit saying. People say it all the time. Whatever it takes, bro, whatever it takes. No, whatever it takes. If you really mean that, it means whatever the fuck it takes.
Yeah.
And what I said to myself was, well, here's been my starting schedule. And if you ever start a business, and business owners, you know this better than anybody else. Aspiring business owner, if you're ever going to start a business, here's the commitment you make to yourself. Or here's the schedule you make. Mm-hmm. I start at 7 a.m., quitting time 7 p.m. Okay. I eat lunch at my desk. Okay. Bathroom breaks are as quick as I can make them. Yeah. And eat lunch at your desk. And do that 7 days a week.
7 days.
7 to 7, 7 days a week.
7 days.
Yep. Blackjack, baby. That's what in my book, that's what I call it. I call it the blackjack formula. The blackjack formula. Blackjack formula is 777. 21. Wow. Can't lose. Blackjack.
That's whatever it takes, man.
That's whatever it takes. And I was prepared that if it was going to take more than that, I was going to do more than that because I made a commitment to myself. I would not fail, meaning I would not quit. So when you're about to lose it all and it's all on the line and it's like, okay, I'm not quitting no matter what. No matter what happens, I'm not quitting. Doesn't matter. The only quitting I was going to do is if they carried me out in a body bag, that was going to be the quitting. That was it. That's the only way. No. Other than that, I was fully committed. So if the 777 wasn't going to get it done, I was going to crank it up. I was going to come in at 6 o'clock and work to 9 o'clock. Yeah. And I just figured, hey, as long as I get home, shower, go to bed, as long as I can get like 8 hours of sleep, 7.5 hours of sleep, as long as I could get that, I could work every other hour besides that. Every other minute of the day I could work besides the time I was sleeping. So that was my commitment then when shit got dicey. Now, luckily, I never had to go to those extremes. The 777 worked. The blackjack worked.
Nice.
The next month, I actually almost broke even. So I didn't have to dip into my savings or into the little bit of money that I had, for operations. Yeah. And the next month, we actually made some money. Nice. And everybody started calming down after 9/11 and realized, okay, this is an isolated incident. It wasn't going to keep happening, Yeah. So business got back to normal. I just cranked out what I knew how to do. Yeah. I worked my ass off, and I did the blackjack method for about 4 months. 4 months. So September, October, November, December, and I think I took that Christmas off and that New Year's off, and we were profitable. Yeah. And I felt good and I felt strong.
It's been a great Christmas. Huh?
Yeah. And, I at that point, 4 months later, I said, okay, I take Sundays off. All right. So I started taking Sundays off and we just kept working hard and it just kept going from there. And within another 4, 5, 6 months, I was actually making more money than I'd ever made in my life. Yeah. And never looked back until, and this is the lose it all thing, Because I don't even look at that as losing it all, because I didn't have nothing.
That wasn't it?
That wasn't even it. That wasn't even the losing it all thing. That was just the all in. That wasn't the losing it all. That wasn't the, I was just all in. That was all. But I was 30 years old with no responsibilities. I mean, shit, you know, you might as well go all in.
Yeah.
So, because I could always stop and get a job, you know, but I wasn't going to quit. So, but that was, you know, if I really did get carried out of there, if the landlord literally threw me out because I couldn't make the rent, right, I could have went and got a job. So I wasn't a real risk there at all. Not the real risk. Yeah. So fast forward from there, 10 years later, 2011, the economy got really hurt. A lot of my clients got really, really hurt. 2008, 2009.
Very, very bad.
Lost a lot of clients. Yeah. They were all getting financially crushed. You know, the economy was for shit. Yeah. And I just kept hemorrhaging through the money that I had saved up and hemorrhaging through some assets. I just kept trying to keep it going. 2011 comes, and I had 25 employees at one point. Before 2008, 2007, I had 25 employees. By 2011, I was down to like 7 employees. Oof. And I'd run through all my savings. I'd run through all my liquid assets, maxed out all my credit cards. And I was like, shit, man, I got to make a decision here on what I'm going to do. I either got to fire everybody else and just get rid of them and just go solo, at least get the payroll off of me and just work alone. Yeah. Or maybe I do a merger. So I did a merger with a company that will go unnamed. Yeah. Did a merger with them, and they threw me a lifeline, gave me a bunch of money, gave me a guaranteed salary, bunch of promises. They bought my company. I was supposed to go in there, and I was supposed to end up being groomed to become their CEO and take over their company. And a year and a half goes by, and just promises weren't kept. I'll just leave it at that. Promises weren't kept. Yeah. And I just felt like this was going nowhere. Yeah. Now, I'd already sold them my company, so they owned it. They paid me fair and square, so they owned it. So I made the decision to walk away. Now, I had to walk away with nothing because they bought it all. And I never recovered financially, so, I basically went through the money they had paid me, paid off my debts, got back to at least zero. Yeah. But that's where I was at, was zero. Yeah. So when I walked out of that company, I was back to zero. I think I had a sand rail I sold. I had some quads. I had some dirt bikes. I had to short sell my home. It was, I put in like $800,000 into this house, and it was worth half. And I just had to sell it for what I owed on it. Yeah. I went from $400,000 in equity into it to freaking zero. So I short sold it for the bank, did the right thing, turned in a bunch of cars, turned in my Jaguar, a really nice Jaguar at the time, turned it into the bank. And I just walked out, and I literally moved out of town. I moved to Yuma, Arizona. And those of you that have been to Yuma, Arizona.
Why?
Nothing nice.
Nothing against Yuma, but why?
Right. Well, Yuma, we love you. Yuma, we love you. I just needed to get away, I had developed a certain reputation in Tucson as being successful, and I had the fancy cars and the fancy houses, and people always looked at me as being successful, and I just didn't want to be around that and have to explain myself and explain why I lost it all, and so I said, let me get out of town.
Been there, man.
And let me focus on myself. And by this point, I'd become kind of fat. I was out of shape. Yeah. I was up to 245 pounds. Yeah. I felt lethargic. I was 41 years old, and I just man, I got to rebuild myself. You know, and I was feeling depressed, and I just felt like, man, shit, this is what losing it all feels like. But I had enough in just shit that I had laying around that I freaking sold it. I think I come up with like 50 grand, and I moved out to I went from a multimillionaire to 50 grand. I mean, by the time I was 35, I was a multimillionaire. And lost it all by 40. And by 41, when I had to restart everything again, I cashed out everything I had. I mean, everything. Sold everything I had. I was selling like pool tables, couches. I had a little game room that was a pretty cool game room set up in my house. I had a movie theater in this home and everything. I sold it all. Got 50 grand together. I was having yard sales, garage sales, calling my friends. Remember when I had that thing you said you really liked? You want to give me some money for it? Yeah. I had friends coming to the house and buying shit, for probably more than it was worth. Yeah. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that, by the way. And I got 50 grand together, and I moved to Yuma. And I said, okay, it's 2001 again. Yeah. And I'm a little older, a little wiser. Yeah. And hopefully I'm not going to take as long to build it back as it took me.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was I got serious about getting fit again. And I'd been fit. I'd competed in bodybuilding, and I'd been, pretty big and pretty strong and ripped and everything. And so I knew what that was like. So first thing I did was I went and got a gym membership, and I started hitting the gym. And I just made a commitment to hit the gym and to get in shape, got my diet right, and started working again. And I took no clients because that company had bought all the clients from me, and I left them there. I didn't take a single thing from that company. They bought they bought my old company fair and square.
Yeah.
And so I started from nothing. I started from scratch, and I just got a list of companies that I knew would need my management services. Yeah. And I just started like grinding. And this is 2012 or 2013. Take it back, 2013. Yeah. So the internet's there, but it's not that big. No. Internet marketing really doesn't exist besides emails and email spamming and shit like that. Yeah. There was no like running Facebook ads or none of that stuff. So I just had to do the old fashioned way. Got a lead list, got on the phone, started calling, this is who I am. This is what I do. You're interested in working together. And 3 months later, I had built it back up to where I was making good money again. And 6 months later, I was making really good money again. I went to Vegas. Took one of the guys who was working for me at the time. We went to Vegas and we partied hard, man. We partied hard. I bet. And I remember feeling that feeling again of like, man, I'm back. I'm back. So it only took me 6 months to get back the money, the making of the money, not the stuff. I mean, the stuff took more longer.
Yeah, I mean, that follows.
But the making of the money got back like right away because of the skill set I had,
So, yeah. I want to rewind a little bit. So the first thing you did was get back in shape.
Yes.
Why was that your first step? Why was it in your head that that's the first thing I got to do instead of sitting down and calling those companies?
Right. Because I was broken. Right, I was broken, and I knew it.
So you had to fix up here. I mean, we're talking,
Yeah, I had to fix up here,
but it was really a mental.
It was all mental. It was all mental. It was, and did I want to get back in shape and feel good again? I did, but it was mental. It's more mental. And anybody that works out seriously, it's a mental thing. It's not even a physical thing. Yeah, you get physically stronger and you feel better, but it's for your mind as much as anything else.
Absolutely.
So I just said, I'm broken, and I got to get something positive going.
Because I think what I want to get across is sometimes we have to focus on the details so we can build ourselves up to do the bigger things. Because that's what I hear from that.
Right.
That it jumped out at me. First thing I did when I get to Yuma is try to get back in shape.
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't think that. You know what I mean? So I
think shit, go get some fast food and
and then I'll make some calls and see if I can get back on this money train.
Yeah, I just right. And a part of me wanted to just do it that way, you know? And, but I knew that I was broken, and I knew that I was mentally, I was suffering. Yeah. And I had a lot of self-doubt. I mean, had I made the mistakes? Had I been too greedy? And you start thinking back, like looking at all of your decisions you made,
second guessing yourself.
Yeah. And of course, obviously making the merger was a big mistake because I was still pretty good until I made that decision. That was really the decision that finished me off. And at the time, I thought it was catastrophic, right? Because, I mean, not that I necessarily was, like, that depressed about losing it all because, it bothered me, but it didn't bother me. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It didn't. Because I knew I could get it back. I mean, I didn't lose myself as far as, like, that I'll be poor the rest of my life now because I can never do what I did again. Yeah. I knew I could do what I did again because it was just hard work and determination. Yeah. It wasn't like something lucky happened for me. Yeah. Nothing lucky happened for me. It was a matter of fact, if it wasn't for bad luck, most of the time I wouldn't have any luck at all. So it wasn't like I just had gotten lucky. It was I just had worked hard, paid the price, paid the dues, and worked my way into that position. So I knew I could do it again. Yeah. But I was still, I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel like I was ready to really like start, trying to work hard again. So so the first thing I did was to say, look, if I can get something physically going again, if I can get back and, at least get in the gym and that wasn't like I was going to wait to get ripped abs and then start working. But I just felt like if I can get to the gym this first week, I'm here. Yeah. And if I can just go to the gym again.
So it's a mental discipline.
And do a real serious workout for a week. Yeah. And not miss a day and not miss a workout and not take a workout off. That I could go to the gym. Because I'd gotten to the point where I was still working out, but it was like 15, 20 minutes on the way home, just do buys for the guys real quick, right? I mean, that was it. Like, just go in there and do some buys real quick. You know, don't lose the guns, don't lose the pikes. You know, even though the guts come in, but don't lose the guns. As long as you got the buys, you're good. And so I would just work out 15, 20 minutes on the way home. Yeah. Grab a pie, grab some fast food, you know, and kind of like just, you know, be pissed about that the day didn't go well. Yeah. Yeah. And I just said, if I can get to the gym and commit an hour and a half a day, if I can do that for a solid week, and get that discipline back, then it's gonna help me, and it did. And so that's what I did. I got back to the gym, and I made it that first week, and I worked out an hour and a half every day, and I didn't shortcut it. I did really hard cardio before I worked out, then I worked out, then I did cardio again before I left. And man, I was fucking sore. Oh my God.
I bet, man.
I was sore because at 41.
You don't recover that quick.
No, man. It wasn't like when I was 21, man.
No, not at all.
So it was rough. I remember coming home and showering and fucking being like, damn, that was rough. Yeah. Because I hadn't worked out hard in like years to that point. It'd probably been like 3 or 4 years since I worked out real hard. Yeah. And so that first week was rough, but mentally it started to rebuild me already because I accomplished something. Yeah. Right. I accomplished something. And so my advice to you guys on that is, I mean, when you feel like you're stuck, and you feel like, man, I just, no matter what I just can't seem to move. I just can't seem to make a good move. Yeah. Fuck, go do something basic. Yeah. Go to the gym and get the discipline of going to the gym for a whole week for an hour and a half and really working out, not shortcutting it either. Yeah. Giving it all you got, whatever that is. It doesn't even matter what it is, but just give it all you got. Just by making that small commitment to yourself and getting that win. Yeah. Right. And when I'm coaching people, I always say, look, man, you want to get momentum going, you got to get at least a small win of some kind. There's got to be some little win you get. Yeah. You know, you got to get a little win. It doesn't have to be a huge win, just a little win. Just something goes your way. Just something that's like gets that momentum going. Like sports, right? We see a team that's like they can't do nothing right and they're just getting killed. Man, if they just get a couple of buckets, right? Basketball now. If they just get a couple of easy buckets. Yeah. All of a sudden that's enough of a win to like start turning the momentum and start turning the tide. And that's what happened for me. And then I got on the phone and I knew I had that week of the gym in and I was feeling good that I had accomplished that. Yeah. And that started coming over the phone. And so as I started selling people and, you know, making some fresh connections with some businesses that could use my services, man, I could feel it coming back, man. I could just feel the mojo coming back, right? Yeah. It's like Austin Powers, that mojo's coming back. Got my mojo. Yeah. And once I had it, I just kept building on it and I didn't look back. And that's why I got back so fast is because once I got the ball rolling again, I just kept it rolling. And I can tell you 6 months later, when I making good money and I got a business going good again and I had gotten fit again too. I had lost like 25 pounds. Nice. And I was feeling good, looking good. I was going to the gym and we went to Vegas, man, and it was a fantastic feeling because I went in shape and I went with money in my pocket. Yeah. And I wasn't afraid to spend money, and we got some good tables there. Nice. And we went and saw some good DJs live, and you know, popped some bottles, and just made it a really good weekend. And it came back, and I felt renewed, right? And then I just never looked back after that. And in the last. That's been 10 years now, almost 10 years. Yeah. It'll be 10 years here in another month that was the case. Awesome, man. And I just haven't looked back since. And I have no fear. Because one last point on this. Yeah. What I thought was the worst thing that could ever have happened to me, becoming a multimillionaire, losing it all, having to go away in shame, having to not even be able to look the people in the eyes that you knew, to leave town. Yeah. Okay. That it was a gut check. I mean, it was a gut check. But when I came back, and I came back 11 months later, people were fucking shocked. They were shocked. They were like, this is not the guy that left here, man. Who the hell is this dude? And I was transformed in every way possible. I was transformed freaking physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. I mean, I was stronger and better than ever. Yeah. And also, what I thought was the worst thing that ever could have happened to me was the best thing that ever happened to me. And company that will be unnamed that did that to me, that I thought screwed me up. Yeah. Thank you so much. I needed that. I needed that, man. It was the best thing that happened to me. Losing it all and having to rebuild and start over was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It was better than my first business that did really well right away. It was the best thing that happened to me.
So it took you to the next level, and you don't look like a guy who just stops and is content where you're at. So you're building. Why aren't you somewhere trying to figure out how to get a spaceship into space? Why aren't you doing that? Why are you coaching and mentoring people?
Well, I'm not quite at that level.
But you can be.
But I could be.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Hell, you might have blueprints already.
You know,
But I'm just saying, why are you taking time
right?
to try to help
Right.
other people?
Right. Because my other business is my financial services business. I
mean, and you can make money off of that, but why?
Yeah, well, my the reason why this is here and I'm here and everything you guys have seen so far is here has nothing to do with coaching. I haven't even started coaching anybody yet, really.
Okay.
It's all been just this and for fun and helping people.
Yeah.
I wrote the book. The book was never written to make money. I sell the book when it does get sold. It's on Amazon for I think $10 or something like that. I think I get like $1 when it sells.
Still, you can focus all your energy on yourself, man.
Point I'm trying to make is
Yeah.
my financial services business
Yeah.
is where I make all my money. Okay. That business I restarted in 2011. That's the money. That's the business that makes all the money. Now that business is to the point it's got 50 employees, multiple offices across the country. I have offices in skyscrapers in Atlanta. And I don't show any of that stuff because it's all, there's non-disclosure agreements with every client that I have for that business. It's all banking stuff, high finance stuff. It's all, lock and key, cameras cannot, get in, all that stuff. It's financial services. There's a lot of sensitive data. Okay. And the banks are very, very leery. So if I started showing all the shit on social media, look at it, the banks freak right the hell out. Banks don't want their stuff out on social media. So that's why, unfortunately, I can't show a lot of that stuff. So the coaching platform, you see the Cory Means Business. This for me and, Amelia, the last couple of years, this has just been like a labor of love to this point. Right. And then COVID hit and all that stuff. So, but the reason why I'm doing it and the reason why I've been doing it and we've been still doing it through COVID. And again, it does nothing but cost me money. There is no money being made from Cory Means Business yet. Okay. Doesn't mean there won't be. It just means for the last 4 years that you can go back and look at these videos and see me on social media and all that shit. It's all just been money that I've just paid out, not made a dime. Every person I've helped in the last 4 years with Cory Means Business has been just basically pro bono. Now that said, I am going to make it a serious business because I can't do it to the level I want to do it unless it is a serious business. Yeah. Unless it's making money and it's worth it. There's no, it's just too hard to keep just paying money to keep, a platform like that going. Especially to the level I want to get it. It's small. It's teeny. It's not people tell me oh, it's so impressive. That's not impressive. It's teeny. I want to reach so many people, but here's why. Because people ask me, well, shit, you make all this money in the financial services, you make all this money with your other businesses that deal with the banks. Why don't you just focus on that and just make more money? And the reality is I could, and that business makes a ton of money, and it can make way more too. If I really dedicated myself to it, it can make more money. Yeah. But let me tell you who the clientels are for that business. The clients are the banks. Okay. Now, God, I love you. I love you guys, right? But you don't need my help. Okay. The banks would be just fine without me. Yeah. Okay. They have all the money. What I do for them is help them manage some of it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a back office function. It's nothing that even would change their life. Yeah. Are they appreciative? Do they appreciate me? Yeah, because I make them look good, but I don't change anybody's life there. Yeah. Now in that business, I help coach and manage companies that are in distress. Yeah. That's what I'm doing for these banks. I'm managing companies that are in distress. Yeah. Well, I have to go into these businesses, and I've been doing this now for 25 years. I got to go into these businesses, and they're in financial distress, and they screwed shit up, and they're out of money, and the bank is saying, we need to make a decision here, and I got to go in there and figure it out. Yeah. Now, when I go into these businesses, it's not good news, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes I can help, and sometimes I can fix what's wrong and help them out and get them back on track and make everybody happy and save them and all that. But a lot of times I can't. Yeah. Right. I kind of equate it to like I'm a brain surgeon, right? Yeah. Sometimes I can get in there and work some magic, and you're going to be all right. And other times there's nothing I can do. Just make funeral arrangements, and here's a card for the funeral director, right? That's reality. And it always bugged me. It always bothered me that I had to do that.
Yeah.
It was never the fun part of the job. The fun part of it was when I could save somebody that otherwise wouldn't have been saved.
Yeah.
That was the fun part. And I'm like, I'm making money helping somebody that without me wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah.
And I got really excited about that.
Yeah.
You know, what I wasn't excited about was the ones that I couldn't help.
Yeah.
So I said, well, if I could get to any of these businesses 6 months before I do get to them, because I don't get called in until it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't get called in when it's good. You know, I never hear from anybody when it's good.
Yeah.
Right. I get called in when it's bad. If I could get in there with these businesses before it was bad,
Yeah.
not only could I save them all, I could help them make freaking ridiculous amounts of money, because you got to understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I get called in to help them when it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, this guy wants to, grow his business, help him out. No, this is bad. It's saving them or don't save them.
Yeah.
So I've had to develop these techniques and these strategies that are life-saving, business-saving strategies.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, everybody that, that looks to mentors and coaches and stuff online, look, I get it, man. The rah-rah and the motivation and believe in yourself, and, you could be a drowning man, and whatever the bullshit analogies are, whatever the rah-rah, and there's some people out there that are way bigger than me on social media, and everybody's like, oh, I love this guy. I love that guy. Look, the rah-rah is great and all, and I'm not a great rah-rah guy. I'll be the first to admit it, man. I'm not a guy that's going to get you on stage and bring tears to your eyes, because it's just not who I am. I'm not the big rah-rah guy. But here's what I am. I'm a tactician, okay? I'm a strategist, a real one. And what pissed me off about the online presence of some of these people was like, man, you watch them and you're like, yeah, this guy's inspiring. Yeah. And I like seeing him in his roles. Heading up to his penthouse, and it's all impressive, and should look at the jet and all that stuff. Oh, wow, wow. That's all inspiring. Yeah. But when the guy goes to tell you how to do it, he comes up short. Okay? Because the guy's got a big mouth, and he's a good talker, and he's got a great backstory. Yeah. And he's rah, and look at me, right?
So is that their business?
But he comes up short on the strategy, right? So I got a little pissed off about that type of stuff. Yeah. And so I said, I want to get on the side of it where I'm getting into these businesses before they're in the bad situation, where I know I can help them all. Yeah. And I'm gonna bring something that these other online coaches aren't bringing. Yeah. I'm gonna bring actual real tactics, real strategies, real things that work. Yeah. Not rah. Now I definitely am an accountability coach. Now, one of the things that most of you guys don't know about me, that any client of mine does know about me, I'm an accountability coach. Yeah. So if you're off track, my foot's going to be in your ass. There ain't no doubt about it, right? Yeah, absolutely. Tough love. I'm a tough love kind of guy. So I'm not necessarily going to bring you to tears, because I'm like, you got to get in touch with your inner self. You got to believe. Okay, yes, you do have to believe. But that, I'm going to tell you that for like 3 minutes, and then we're going to get to some brass tacks.
Yeah,
then we're going to get some real shit, right? Yeah. And the bottom line is, unless you have real strategies that really work and are really proven in the marketplace, unless you really can take a small company that doesn't have much resources and actually do something with that, okay, then you're not really a freaking coach. You're not really a mentor. So some of the guys out there, some of the people out there that fancy themselves as business mentors and business coaches, hey, shit, man, anybody can take a business with a bunch of money and make them more money. I mean, try to fuck that up, right? Oh, you got $5 million and you want to make 6? Okay, yeah, try to fuck that up, okay? But when you have to go in with a business that has no resources and, very little ability to do anything, and you got to make that work, that's when you get some real serious strategies going. Yeah. And so everything that I do and everything that I teach when I bring on a client for Cory Means Business is the street level, no bullshit. This is proven to work. 25 years. Banks rely on it. The companies that I've saved, which are into the thousands by now, okay, they had no resources, no understanding of business, just they were good at what they did, and they were good people, so I helped them. And the tactics that I use bring them back to life. Yeah. So if I start with a business that actually has some resources and actually has some good things going for it, man, it's almost not fair, right? Because I'm so used to going in when they got nothing. Yeah. then I go in and they got a little something. I'm like, shit, man, I'm gonna be able to make, it's like a chef. It's like a chef going in like, okay, what you got to make dinner with? Well, I got a can of corn and some pepper. Oh shit! All right, well, you got to make this taste good, right? So make some of that corn soup. And I kind of fancy that same mentality, right? So you go into you're a chef and you go into a kitchen and that's what you got to work with. You got to make it taste good. Or you go in and it's like, oh shit, it's Nancy Pelosi's kitchen, right? And you got the twin Sub-Zero fridges all stocked, and you got the rack of lamb, and the spice rack. Oh yeah, let me pull it out for you, right? Yeah, it's hard to fuck that up. Man. A bad cook can make something pretty good. So I'm always shocked when I get to go into a business and they actually got a spice rack, even a little one. And you got a piece of meat. Holy shit, a piece of meat. Oh man, I'm gonna cook up something really good. And so that's really, again, what I know going forward with Cory Means Business that I can really do, because I have these tactics that work in the worst of situations. When they're applied in the best of situations, they're almost like magic. They really are. And I get shocked because, I'm not as used to that type of impact happening because, again, I usually work with such little resources and ability for these businesses. And I got to make something out of nothing, that when they start with a little something and then I put my strategies on that, what actually happens is it, I'm still shocked by it. I'm like, holy shit. And so when I offer my coaching services to businesses, which is now coming, it's time. I can't keep putting it off. I got to get out there, especially now after what we've been through the last couple of years.
Oh yeah,
I got to get to helping businesses, man. I got to get
going
to
through their 9/11 right now, man.
There's a lot of businesses going through their 9/11, and there's a lot of businesses out there that are going through their Cory at age 41. They had it going, they lost it, or they've been knocked down and they need to get rebuilt. There's a lot of businesses out there that are starting. 2021, more new businesses have been started than any other time in history in the United States of America. That's more awesome, new business starts than any other time in history. People don't want to work for other people because of what they had to go through. And so many people have gone, left the workforce and they've gone and they've opened up their own businesses. And they need this. And the businesses that you've had employees leave. I mean, you had some of your good employees leave you because of what's gone on. You need to rebuild and you need to re-strategize and refocus resources while you can. You got to get going. You got to get moving. So I want to be there for that. I want to be there for them. I'm on, in going back to my book, one of the things that I like most about my book, and somebody just came to me yesterday, we were talking about my book and the things that were in it. One of the biggest things I think that's in there is the success pyramid. And it's the 5 levels of success. And the highest level of success is the legacy level. And the legacy level is, you have tons of money, you've made good money, you're making good money, you've got, your family's taken care of, your friends are taken care of, people that are all taken care of with your resources. Now you want to go out there and help people that don't know you. Okay. And that's when you make a legacy, because that's when you look back and it's like, okay, this person didn't have to go out and do that. But they did. And because they did, so many other people's lives are better. That's legacy. And I'm to that level. And I want to do something there personally, financially. I mean, my businesses that work for the banks, I make shitloads of money. I can't even spend it. I've got every toy you can imagine. I got a badass house. I got all these cars. I got all these toys. And I got all the spending money I could ever spend. I'm golden. Personally, financially, I am golden.
Nice.
I just want to take what I've learned through these 25 years and especially this last 10. And I want to bring it to all these small businesses. And I want to do for them what nobody ever did for me.
Awesome. Man.
Which was to be there and help. Instead of having to learn the hard way, learn the easy way. In my book, I say there's, one last point of my book, and then we're going to cut this short or cut this off. The last point of my book that I really want to make is, there's 2 ways to learn something in this world. 2 ways, that's it. There's the easy way and the hard way. Right? There's where someone teaches it to you that knows how to do it. And you pay attention and you're like, shit, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? Oh, thanks a lot. Really appreciate that. And there's the school of hard knocks. And the school of hard knocks is how that person probably learned it. And it was probably 20 years of getting their ass handed to them, but still coming back every day until they figured it out, right?
Yeah.
And now they're teaching it to you in an hour, right? It took them 20 years and a lot of tears and a lot of sweat and a lot of blood. And now here you're getting it in an hour, right? So that's the two ways to learn anything that's of value.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to do it? You want to do it the 20 years, blood, sweat, and tears, or do you want to do it in the hour from the guy that had the blood, sweat, and the tears?
Yeah.
That's the question. That's the only question, really. And so I want to just be able to speed it up for people. So when I'm done, when I hang it up, and I still feel young, and I still try to stay in shape. When I hang it up another 10, 15 years, I want to be able to look back and I'll be able to say, you know what? Not only did I save a bunch of small businesses, but I also went out there in the world and I helped a lot more businesses, and I made a lot more dreams come true, and I helped a lot of more people that a lot of them don't even know me. I go into a business and I help the owner. The employees probably don't even know who I am. Next thing you know, they're better off. Their families are better off, and they don't even know who the hell I am.
Yeah.
But that actually is probably to me the biggest thing, the biggest sense of self-accomplishment I get now is just knowing that there's some person or child that has it better now because of something I did. They don't even know who I am. That's the mission I'm on now.
You're not going to be living in a trailer.
No more trailers for me, man. I think I passed that. Don't quit, guys. Look, you can do it. Don't quit. Again, failure is only if you quit. Failure is only if you don't try. As long as you try, and as long as you don't quit, and as long as you make a commitment just to get better every day at what you're doing, you cannot fail. So stop listening to the people tell you to don't be worried about fail. No, be worried about failing. Matter of fact, be so goddamn worried about failing that you don't fail, that you refuse to fail, because failure is only not showing up and quitting. As long as you show up and as long as you don't quit and as long as you just commit to get a little better every day, then failing cannot happen. It's just a challenge after that.
Yeah.
It's just a challenge. That's it.
Exactly.
Well, I hope that you guys got something out of that. We really appreciate you coming to the show. Mucho, thank you for putting me on the other side of this, man. That was I'm gonna need to go get a massage now, and maybe some smelling scents and maybe a couple of shots.
Hey, another Vegas trip.
Hey, let's go Vegas. But no, I appreciate it, man. I hope you guys got something out of that, and I hope you guys got to know me a little bit better so you know what you're getting. If we do decide to do business together at some point, hopefully you now know what you're getting a little bit more. I think that's important. It's always important to be honest and put yourself out there. So if you got something out of this message, please like, subscribe, share this wherever you see it. If you see one of these little videos on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, share the hell out of it. You never know who's going to help, man. You never know who's going to help. I help people all day by sharing other people's messages. If I come across a good message, I share it, and I know it helps people. So again, sharing is caring, right? Sharing is caring. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.